Although it was a big change from the small town northwest of Fredericksburg where he grew up, he fell in love right away with the West Texas scenery and lifestyle. Today, Kettner farms over 5,000 acres and is a successful corn, cotton, pumpkin, sorghum, and soybean producer. In addition to his diversified crop rotation, Kettner has also implemented a unique farming technique to his operation, no-till farming. Kettner is a passionate advocate for no-till farming. He had implemented a few no-till farming practices onto his farm after he first started, but did not realize the importance of it until he attended the No-Till on the Plains conference in Salina, Kansas in 2009. Please help me welcoming Kelly Kettner.
Thank you, Ethan. Well, I was hoping I could stand up here today and talk about the game last night at Allen Fieldhouse. One free throw short. So anyway, still called it a success for when you're a Tech fan. That was a successful game for us. So anyway, so my name is Kelly Kettner, and I wanted to just kind of start by introducing myself because y'all would probably be, if the people that knew me 20 years ago would be really laughing at me to know that I'm up here at a farm conference talking about sheep production. So anyway, like you said, I was raised in the Texas Hill Country. I was raised on a ranch. And my family, we raised cattle, we had Angora goats, and we farmed peanuts. And I just loved the farming part, and I hated animals. I didn't want anything to do with any of them. I didn't like, seemed like with the goats, we were always having to shear, and they were just nasty and wormy. And the cattle, I was always the one in the pen having to push them through the chute. I was getting kicked and stepped on as a young kid, and I hated it. I always wanted to be on that tractor and row cropping. So anyway, so like you said, I went to Tech, I got my degree in agronomy, and I was like, all right, I want to farm. So upon graduation, I moved back, and I did farm with my dad for about 6 years. And anyway, in the Texas Hill Country, I know I'm in Kansas, so I'm trying to describe all that, but the Texas Hill Country is down close to kind of between San Antonio and San Angelo, if y'all are familiar with Texas. And anyway, it's rocky, it's got a lot of hills and brush and trees, about a 25-inch rainfall area. But we did raise peanuts, and we had small fields, like 10 to 15 acres was probably the biggest fields we had. And anyway, but I just loved that. I just wanted to farm, and wanted to farm big time. And anyway, so after 6 years of getting on my feet with my farming with my dad, I took the plunge and I started my own operation in Muleshoe, Texas. So anyway, so that's kind of a foundation of where I'm at. That slide didn't come out real good. So anyway, but I know this is hard to read, and I just wanted to just really highlight a couple of things. But where I'm at, I'm in the heart of animal feeding country. We raise a lot of feed grains. We raise a lot of silage. And then you get just a little bit south of us, and it's all cotton. But probably the most important thing on this slide, I get about 17 inches of rainfall. But I'm in the high decline area of the Ogallala Aquifer, and I know most all of us probably in this room are on if we irrigate, we're out of the Ogallala. But where I'm at in Texas, it just is not recharging. And anyway, it's become a great concern where we're at. So this is just a kind of a map of my farms. So just to show where we're at, these are my farms. This is the town of Muleshoe. And for y'all's, Amarillo would be like up here. And Lubbock, Texas would be somewhere right down here. And this is Clovis, New Mexico. So my farms are right, this would be the Texas-New Mexico state line. So this is kind of a highlight of where my farms are. But when I'm talking about the Ogallala in our area, one of the things that's really interesting is you can have areas where they have really good water, and then there's areas where you may go 100 feet and there's nothing. But I want y'all to look at this map, and I want you to kind of follow my pointer, because this is going to kind of, do you see how this kind of looks like a river? See how that, you can follow these pivots in the greenery, and you can see like right down here, it kind of follows like that. Well, anyway, a lot of the people in that area talk about how they feel like that was years ago that was like an underground river, and the areas where the water is better is where it kind of follows what looks like a river. And we could go, if I expanded this, it goes way further, but Google Earth really can tell you a lot of things about where you're at. But what is happening is that river is just keeps shrinking. So unless your wells are like right in the center of that, we're losing our water really, really fast. And in Texas, you just never know what you're going to find. So I took this picture. I was spraying the corner and almost ran over these guys with my sprayer. So anyway, I think a lot of people that from the Northeast or West Coast, they think that this just is in the wild all over Texas. But anyway, but it really happened that day. So talking about some of my soil health practices, I started no-tilling in 2004, and then in 2009 I came up here to Salina, and we all still had this conference in Salina, and I really got an interest in the cover crops. And anyway, and I was doing really good with that, and felt like I was really making some strides. And then I know everybody up here talks about the year 2012. I talk about the year 2011. In 2011, let me back up. In 2010, we had a great year. In November of 2010, I had about 1.5 inches of rainfall. The next rain I had over just a sprinkle was, I think I had 1 inch in December of 11. So I went basically 13 months with 0 rainfall. And we had where I'm at, our average number of days over 100 degrees in summertime is 20, and we had 50 in 2011. So it was just a devastating year. And then in 2012, it wasn't much better. We had about 5 or 6 inches for the whole year in 2012. So that kind of set the cover cropping back. But what it also did is I lost about 80% of my well capacity after that year. It really made me have to refocus things on what I was doing, what the future of my operation, where it was headed. So anyway, in 2018, when our water was just has been continually dropping, I was like, I've got to do something different. So I had a friend. I was really wanting to go into get a cow-calf operation started, and I had a friend tell me, you ought to look into these Dorper sheep. And I was like, what is Dorper sheep? I've never even heard of that. And anyway, so I kind of studied a little bit on it. And then in 2018, I took the plunge and I just bought 40 ewes. And anyway, I bought 40 ewes, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I don't want it to be a hobby, because if it's just a hobby, I'm not going to give it all the attention I need. So I saw real fast that 40 ewes wasn't going to cut it for me. Now, I know that was totally different than what we just heard, but I was like, it's going to be a significant source of income, or I'm not going to give it the attention it needs. So anyway, but with the water continually declining, I have farms where we're not even irrigating anymore, and we have pivots there, but there's just no water to go through them. I was just starting to think, man, where was God leading me by bringing me to Mill Sheep, And I just felt like the Israelites when, Moses led them out of Egypt. And I think to this verse of Deuteronomy 7:13. And I hate these slides, you could read them when I sent them in here. So anyway, but it just talks about how God promises us that our crops will be large and our herds will flourish. And anyway, and I just kept thinking, all right, God, you're really trying to tell me something here. So that's where I thought, all right, the sheep are mentioned all over the Bible, and I thought, okay, God's telling me something. So anyway, so I just have really embraced them, and I've made them basically now my biggest source of income. So the reasons I switched. Gosh, I apologize for these slides. Anyway, but one of the main things of why I'm switching my operation to livestock was this number 3 right here. Not having to take the crop to maturity. And anyway, we do get periods where we're very wet, but it just seems like we can't ever get enough continual rain to sustain a crop. And that's where these livestock really come in, because I don't have to take a grain crop all the way to maturity and heading out, or I don't have to grow a cotton crop all the way to harvest. I just got to get something going and growing, and the animals can take advantage of that, and by rotating them around, we're able to utilize what little bit we're able to grow. And another thing, where I'm at, I'm in the heart of animal feeding country. We have great markets for feed ingredients. We have great places where we can take our animals. It's just the infrastructure is really set up nicely for it to be in an animal operation. So, why sheep? Well, the thing that was appealing to me is they're easier to handle than cattle. Where I'm at, there's no fences, there's no infrastructure for the cattle on my farms. All the cattle in our area are usually there's not a lot of cow-calf operations, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in our area, but we're in the heart of animal feeding. So we have feed yards, we have dairies, and the big place for cattle to run is people run stocker calves. People run stocker calves on wheat pasture in the wintertime, and we just string up an electric fence. So anyway, but I don't have pens. I didn't have any type of infrastructure set up. So anyway, but these sheep, I can handle a sheep a lot easier. I can go to my local hardware store and buy some panels and T-posts, and I have a set of pins in about an hour worth of fixing it up. And it's good enough to contain them. And then we use electric fence. And I'm also in the process of building permanent fence around my place, just to help keep to make it a lot easier to not have them disappear on us and all of that. But anyway, but another reason that I like sheep is they like forbs in their diet. When I hear the word forbs, I was like, what is a forb? Well, another word for a forb is a weed from my farming standpoint. Kochias, tumbleweeds, Russian thistle, Palmer amaranth,